and welcome to the Anodic Goods podcast. Today, I am joined with a special guest. I've got Kerry O'Connor.
Hi.
Hello,
Hey,
Kerry.
how are you?
How are
Yeah,
you?
good, thanks. How about yourself?
Hi. Yeah, I'm well, thanks. This is our second episode, the first episode with a guest, which is exciting.
hmm
Yeah, how'd you find the first episode?
Yeah, I loved it. It was a good start for you. You spoke about your authentic self, and yeah, it was a great start.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've had some good.
Cool,
Yeah, been interesting,
awesome.
and yeah, learning a lot, and yeah.
Learning how to edit, huh?
Yeah, so tell us a bit about yourself, Kerry. Tell us your background.
Somebody
Well, I'm
just
actually,
going on a journey.
that's good. And I'm actually going a little bit into the inner child and the mentality that I was talking about in the first episode.
hmm
I want to unpack that a little bit more.
Okay.
So, in terms of the little guy, what I envisioned the little guy mentality was is that there's these people that just everything's just so easy for them. And in terms of the little guy, the little guy is like the doormat to these, to some extent, a narcissist. And have you seen bullying and all that stuff in your experiences and that? Or?
Yeah, well, sure. I don't think anybody. There's a lot of people that skate through, but I do understand and relate to what you're saying about being
Yeah,
the little guy being walked over and having to set healthy boundaries
yeah,
and set sort of standards on how people deal with you, how you deal with day to day life. And I think that just comes with being comfortable and having open and honest sort of reflection of yourself. Being able to, sort of stand back and actually have a look at the big picture. Um, Sometimes I don't think people are necessarily bullying others. I think that they just, especially in the way that the world is geared, that it's a little bit dog eat dog. People are just trying to get
yeah,
ahead and they tend to forget,
mm,
they tend to dismiss feelings of others around them, especially if they're not as communicative. People put a lot of weight on what's their internal, what's going on in their internal mindset,
mm,
but like that doesn't always propagate as a visual cue. For example, a lot of
yeah,
people that may be neurodivergent or may have other challenges like being
mm,
depressed or having anxiety, panic attacks, all those those whole those whole realms of things. What your internal demons be completely, even though it feels like it's such
mm,
a significant event to you,
mm,
and you aren't going to be realizing on a day-to-day basis if you're in a crisis mode or if you
mm,
don't actually feel comfortable. So at that point, it can be very easy in times of crisis. It makes you feel alone. It makes you feel forgotten. It makes you feel people are standing over you and just going to the next thing. Like, you could be working on a team project with people at work and may not be match fit mentally, for example, and you've got a
mm,
lot of things going on in your head and all that, and they might just simply think that, well, people might not even notice. It could just be existing while inside your head you're going, oh my god, I'm doing this wrong, this person hates me, this person's walking all over me. But it could be as
mm,
simple as, like, to use an IT analogy, could just be somebody going, look, I'll take charge, I'll
mm,
run these patches because you're too slow to act on it. Um so the
mm,
and that's where it comes down to being a little bit responsible and
yeah,
being a little bit self-aware and
yeah,
having the almost having the tenacity to communicate with others about having safe and honest and frank communication. And when things do go wrong, or when you feel that people have overstepped that boundary, to actually be able to have the confidence and sit there and establish that boundary and go back to these people and go, look, this is how I'm feeling. Yeah, as I keep going back to people may have no idea, and that might all of a sudden open them up to looking at things in a different light, or you may find some common ground. We talk about fight or flight all the time, in terms of mental health, but there's also that whole.
There's always kind of like a buzzword these days.
Yeah, sure, and it is, but there's all the concept of Darwinism so it also applies to the workplace. Survival of the fittest. So in a high pressure situation, it may be easier for someone in your team to just to get on and do with it, because they don't want to have these conversations with their managers where it could be awkward, or they can be construed as a team player because they weren't picking up the slack. The manager might actually turn around and say, look, I've assigned this role for all four of you people, this project for you guys to do. It's your responsibility as a team member to make sure that the project's delivered. They don't really want to know the ins and outs, or, Kerry's not pulling his weight and all that rubbish and all that. All they want is, as the manager, is to say, okay, guys, here's the task, do it. Don't give me any excuses. Just deliver as a team. That use your support and all that. So again, people will tend to forget what is. They'll often feelings can be cast aside in terms of just surviving on a corporate day to day.
Yeah, that's true. That's really good stuff. Insights that you've given just then. I believe you have been searching for authenticity, and recently you changed to a career that you love. Tell us a little bit more about that journey.
Look, it's just like everybody else. The pandemic completely shifted the paradigm on how the world was operating, often how we perceived everything around us, and just also sort of sitting there recognizing that we don't have to be down. We can take meaningful risks, and that most of us do have to work. Let's face it, but we can work towards something that actually means something to us. And so, I'm sort of sitting there going, I'm towards the tail end of my 30s now. It's going to be now or never. Decided to take the plunge into IT because it was something that's always resonated with me, something I've dabbled in from time to time, but never been able to commit for, whatever reason. And it was just at the time I just bit the bullet and just went, no, I'm gonna have a crack at it. Let's see where it goes. And it worked, and it just made life so much easier. It's just opened up more doors for me. It's something I'm passionate about. It gives me a little bit more pleasure in terms of when I'm going to work. It also gives me something to strive for. It's giving, work has suddenly become a little bit more purposeful, but I've also got personal development happening in the background where I'm studying, certifying myself, sharpening my skill set, which gives you a new enthusiasm, a new lease of life. And actually, it's mental exercise. It's getting your brain moving, ingesting something that's a little bit more significant than television or social media, whatever it might be. Pick your poison. So then you can actually sit there and keep the brain exercise. And makes you feel young, makes you feel awake, makes you feel alive. And I'm finding it's flowing through to other parts of my life, just because all of a sudden I've reinvented myself, and knowing that life is what you make it.
That is awesome. So you have noticed some health benefits and benefits with your family and home life and
Yeah, look, definitely.
well, I can from what you've just said.
I left a particularly high stress environment in my previous role, and I was, battling some fairly debilitating mental health challenges throughout that. And to have that pressure valve off and also to have something that I enjoy, yeah, it flows through. It flows through to, my personal life, my family life. I'm a lot more happy. I'm a lot more enthused just about doing things because
Nice.
it's no longer just means to an end. It's, I actually want to be going to work. I actually want to be upskilling and, yeah, it's just it's given a whole new spin to everything that's going on. Look, I won't lie. If I won lottery tomorrow, I'd be really happy that I don't have to work anymore. There's a lot of things that I'd rather be doing than going out and earning a living. That being said, I'm a realist. I'm in a really good team environment. I don't want to like
Yeah,
like everybody else. I've got to go to work, so I might as well enjoy it. Got minimum 25 years before retirement.
yeah, that's
So may as well have fun with it.
yeah, yeah. And I truly believe if you love what you're doing, you don't work a single day of your life. You
Sure.
know,
Yeah, absolutely.
truly what I believe. I've seen it slightly in a when I first went into the IT industry from a call center environment. I noticed that work was not as much of a chore once I was in a job I loved. And what resonates for me is during my little search for truth and authenticity in myself, I have found that what truly I love to do is this stuff, this podcast and video editing. And for me, there's been a bit of a journey here. I've been doing some self help courses and I've been going to the gym to a personal trainer. And suddenly this idea came of the podcast and producing videos and content. So, what was initially a company and a business has now turned into a production company, which does IT services as well for the media industry and potentially other customers. And a business, the Anodic Goods, which will be running this podcast, which is basically this podcast arm of the business. Which my idea is to help our viewers to live a simpler life with authenticity and get some quality of life as well. So potentially, I'm hoping this helps people, and also at the same time, we're advertising the other arm of the business as well, which is Anodic Consulting. But it's pretty cool, the whole concept,
Yeah,
of what we've
yeah, definitely.
developed here.
Mm. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's been a long road developing a plan and podcasts and that, simplifying it, not having like if I ever planned this if I ever planned this episode, it would look very scripted and it wouldn't be very fun. It just I'm trying to make this as engaging as possible. Most people don't take risks. If you don't take risks, you don't put yourself out there. Yes, because you're not risking, you're not putting anything on the line to actually learn and grow. in industries or starting up a business like I did. The cat like the like just doing the daily grind. Yeah, I didn't really leave a mark.
Mm.
Whereas while you're young, getting these things out there, you can say, "Oh, I've done this, this, this." I remember a risk I did take. We both took a few when back in teens many years ago, and I actually stopped looking at my inner child.
Stuff for another
It was
episode.
only about 2 or 3 weeks ago where I asked my inner child. Yeah, another episode. Yeah, not be for another episode, but I asked my inner child, "What do I want to do?" And yeah, so that's going to be an interesting unpacking as well. Maybe we can unpack that in another episode.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, I do invite you to take on if you want to take on if you want to help with the segment on our show. Let's go random. Okay, so I've got a quote here. Even if you fall on your face, you're still moving forward, by Victor Kiam. So that's an interesting
Mm.
one.
Yeah,
Even if you fall on your face,
yeah, definitely.
you're still moving forward.
Mm.
So that actually, how interesting that one is. It's actually basically what we were talking about. All I did, I'll show you my phone. So all I did was I just hit the random button on here,
Mm-hmm.
and this quote came up.
There you go.
So
Who
um,
was it that said it?
let's just unpack it for a couple of minutes.
Victor
Victor Kiam,
Victor Kim.
Kiam,
K-I,
Kim. Yep.
an American entrepreneur. Just wanted to know more about him. Ah, he made. Oh, there you go. It's gone dark.
Yeah, it's all good. That's the atmosphere.
He actually owned the New England Patriots, and he was also the TV spokesperson for Remington products, hair products and all that sort of stuff. He wrote a
Nice.
book called How to Succeed as an Entrepreneur. Um, but yeah, that's I don't know what the quote's
Yeah.
attributed to.
We were just talking about that actually. Yeah, the actual quote goes quite well with our talking about risk and stuff.
Mm,
Like,
yeah, well, it goes back to basic tenacity, talking about you fall off the horse,
yeah,
you get back up on it again, yada yada yada. I'd imagine, given that him being an entrepreneur and
yeah,
actually also owning an NFL team, that would be tenacious, would
yeah,
be something that
yeah,
he would be all about for a bit. So yeah, very very succinct and very
yeah.
straightforward quote, and it's something that we should keep armed on a
Yeah.
day to day. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, yeah. We got a minute and a half left. Oh, actually, we've got a
A
minute
minute.
left.
Oh, okay.
So a
Minute's a long time when you're trying
here,
to.
but that's right. Yeah. So what I will say about even if you fall on your face, you're still moving forward. It basically says if you stumble, like with what we're talking about, our previous careers or whatever,
Hmm.
you end up falling on your face. If you fall on your face, you're still moving forward. So little steps
Hmm.
is the key. Kerry, thank you for joining us today
Thank you
on
very
this
much.
episode.
Thank you for having
It's
me.
been good having
It's
you,
been
mate,
fun.
and we've had some great conversations
Mm.
here.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah, no worries.
enjoyed it.
I will invite you to join us again very soon.
Hmm.
Maybe might have another episode where we unpack another random fact
No doubt.
and talk about it.
No doubt. Of
That
course.
sounds pretty
Hmm.
cool. Yeah, yeah. So very well. So, guys, enjoyed it. Just before we do wrap up, I'm just got to acknowledge that this is a Anodic consulting production, and thank you to our parent company for giving us the facilities to record this episode of this.
Bye.
Bye for now.